I'm kind of in a situation where I've always been taught to give, to share. And as long as you have your hand out to share, then you're open to receive. Both my father died last year.
Well, now let's talk about this in the law-based sense that we know. So we just had a really good conversation leading up to this one that says, when you're in the vortex and only when you're in the vortex do you have anything to offer. So think about the emotional feelings from inside the vortex. Stable, confident, well-being, abundance, connected with the source of all of that, so there's no shortage. So when you're in that kind of flow, isn't it logical that abundance of all sorts, whether it's dollars or appreciation or attention or focus, would flow right through you? And isn't it logical that the object of your attention would benefit from it? The thing that's distorted and the flawed premise there that we can feel bubbling within you and within a lot of people when they consider that old adage that when you share, it comes back to you. We want you to understand that the flaw is people think, if I give to you, you'll give back to me. And what we want you to understand is that when you're in the vortex, you're tapped into the abundance, and any desire for anything is flowing through you there and there and there. In other words, when you're in the flow, giving and receiving are the same thing, because you got to receive it to give it. In other words, it's just a cycle. It's flowing through you. You're the vortex through which it flows. But you're never standing in a place looking for it to flow to you. You're the flower of it. An easier way to hear it is, people want to be loved. And we say, hear it this way. You don't want to be loved. We know it's nice to be loved, but it is so much more to have love flowing through you than to have someone flowing it at you. It's flowing through you. That's what you want. And so we think the statement is accurate, but you want to understand. You got to be in the vortex. You got to be tuned with what you're flowing. And when you're flowing, oh, it's coming and it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. There is no end to it. That is what true abundance is.
What happens, as I said, I just lost my dad last year, and I just lost my mom. And
those are really strong and strange words. You lost them in the mall?
That's true. That's true. They transitioned.
So they're not lost.
Like that. Yeah.
They're not lost to you unless you're out of the vortex. Yeah. Feel what a lack-based comment that is. I've lost them.
Yeah.
And yet people always say, oh, I lost my mother. No, you didn't. Yeah. She's not lost. An accurate statement would be, my mother has returned to pure positive energy, and I'm beating the drum of things that keep me out of vibrational whack with her, so I can't find her.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Have you ever found a child who was lost and they said, I wasn't lost?
Yeah.
I knew right where I was. Just because you couldn't find me doesn't mean I was lost. Let's get this straight.
But when my dad transitioned, part of the family totally walked off from my mom. And then when she transitioned, they were just gone. In the meantime, with the giving thing, I've always been taught, like you say, you reach out.
Here's the thing that we want you to hear, because we can feel that your attention to what they did and your way of looking at it has you out of the vortex. In other words, you think they should behave different. And what we really want to say as you even begin approaching that conversation is, from your standpoint, you want to say, oh, kill me now, because you can't sort that out. No, you could never sort out what those family dynamics are. In other words, we could spend 10 weeks here with you in the chair and you trying to lay it out, and you'd never get to the bottom of those family dynamics. Just accept that those are uncontrollable, too many moving parts. And when you attempt to control the uncontrollable, you are out of the vortex. And just make up your mind, you're not going to try to control the uncontrollable. You're going to get into the vortex.
Okay. What about when, in the giving part, when you are letting it flow, then sometimes that there are people who, no matter how much you let flow, they keep wanting more.
Well, here's an important thing to remember.
How do you do that?
You have to make their response to your giving none of your business. You see, you can control how you feel as you give, but you can't control how they respond. And if you then start responding to how they're responding, now you're out of the vortex. And that's why we're having the conversation. You're not upset because you gave them things and now they want more. What it really is, you see, the only thing you have to give them, oh, we know, you can give them some assistance, and you can give them a pat on the back, and you can give them some good words, and you can even give them some money. You could try to sustain them in a lot of ways. But the thing that you want to be really, really aware of is your own relationship to the vortex. And that's the only thing that you have to pay any attention to. In other words, your connection to the vortex. Your connection to the vortex is the only thing. Because that's the only thing that you can control. So, for example, let's say you give to someone and they like it, and then you give some more and they like it. And you gave with the idea that you were helping them out temporarily, but they never bounce back because they don't know what to do. They've got so much that they still want to learn, and they like the idea of you giving to them, and so they want you to just keep giving to them. And suddenly you're realizing that this isn't what you had in mind, because you are one who teaches self-sufficiency. You didn't mind a hand up, you just didn't want it to be forever sort of thing. And now it's occurring to you that you're disempowering them rather than empowering them, and so you decide that you will begin empowering them by letting them get on their own, at which point they turn hostile to you because they had a good thing going, and now you're no longer supplying it anymore. So now there's all kinds of things. First of all, the source within you, when you first offered them a hand up, how did it feel?
At first it felt good.
And that is because the idea of giving them a sort of bounce, of helping them out, the source within you and you were in agreement that that was a really good idea. And then, the longer it went, the more it felt not comfortable, because the dependency began, and source within you is rooting for their independence, not their dependence on you. And source knows that they have access to the same stream that you have access to, you see. So,
it's like never enough.
We so adore finding an analogy like this vortex, because it makes it so much easier for you to just acknowledge, how am I looking at this? In other words, is my attention to this, is it calling me out of the vortex? And here's the thing that we want you to understand. You could be in the vortex and sending them money, and there'd be no misalignment. We're not saying that sending someone else money means that you're going to be out of the vortex because you're focused upon their lack. It is focusing upon their lack that takes you out of the vortex. Did you hear that? That's really important. Assisting someone from inside the vortex is who you are. It's what we all do. We are uplifters. And when we connect to this energy that creates worlds, we have plenty to give. It's letting something in that equation take you out of the vortex that really is at the heart of this conversation. It's not the giving or the not giving. It's the alignment as you give or the not alignment as you give, you see. So think about what would move you from alignment or giving from inside the vortex to misalignment or giving from outside the vortex. What could be some of the components? Well, they seem ungrateful. That'll jerk you right out if it bothers you. And that's why we say you have to make them none of your business. You have to disengage. In other words, you float it, now it's theirs. Now it's theirs to do with as they want. Because if you stay attached to what you flowed and they don't do something that now you're looking at it different than the source within you is looking at. Does that make sense? True giving is understanding that there is never-ending abundance, and you're just a vessel through which it flows. But we have to say to you, to all of you, that the strongest dynamic, the strongest principle that lies within you at very deep core levels is that no one needs your vortex for their abundance to flow. Everyone is individually and perfectly connected to this stream. So that's why your giving overtly in that way only feels good temporarily, because if it goes on for more than just initially to help them get their balance, then it gives them a distorted message that says, I'm connected to the stream of abundance, and I have gathered, powerful being that I am, well-being, which I will share with you. But what you really want to say is, we are all equally connected to this inheritance of source. No use in quibbling over family fortune when we are all connected to universal fortune.
Good. How do you, I have trouble saying no, and they usually
Give us
say,
an
let me
example.
borrow some, and it never gets paid back, and I don't know how to ask. I mean,
Well,
it's very difficult
so
for
what
me
you-
to ask, what about, you owe me this money? I just...
But so let's get to the heart of what's really bothering you. You're uncomfortable because their behavior has you seeing them in a way that the source within you doesn't see them.
Yeah.
Source within you sees them as capable. You're seeing them as incapable.
Yeah.
Source within you knows they'll find their way. You're seeing them as not looking like it's going to come anytime soon.
Yeah.
The source within you wants to see them as self-sufficient. So here's what you could say, but you got to be in the vortex when you say it. Mm-hmm. And here's the tricky thing about that. If you're in the vortex and they're not going to hear or understand anything you say anyway.
That's true.
If you go out of the vortex, they might hear you and they might understand you, but you're still out of the vortex. And that's why we're having this conversation. Abraham, these people that I want to communicate with and understand how I feel have dragged me out of the vortex, and now I feel bad that I'm out of the vortex. And we say, isn't it simple? Just get back in there. And you say, oh yeah, that is simple. I can just get back in there. So here's what you say from inside the vortex to this one who keeps needing more money. There isn't anything that I like more than the idea of you thriving. And as I see you not thriving, I know that I have painted a picture for me of you thriving, which I focus on regularly. I'm so sure that this is going to work out for you, that I'm celebrating your abundance even before it's flowed to you. And I get happy just thinking about how good you're going to feel when it comes. When Tracy, Jerry and Esther's daughter, got ready for what she considered to be her first car purchase, she found the most beautiful little red Acura, the little sports machine. And it cost a lot of money from where she was in terms of what she was earning. So she said to Jerry and Esther, I think it would be ever so nice if you would help me. And Jerry said, no. And Esther said, why? And Jerry said, if she does this on her own, which she is so close to being capable of doing, she will experience an exhilaration that we cannot give her. And if we help her, we will deprive her of that. Mm-hmm. So they hung tough. Easy for Jerry, hard for Esther. Esther just kept avoiding the conversation. And then Tracy figured it out. She made the right phone calls. She lined it all up. And one afternoon she called in a breathless conversation, Mother, I found my car, and I can afford it, she said. But it's in Houston. And Esther said, we're going there tomorrow. Want to ride? Because they were going there tomorrow. And so Tracy rode over with them, and then they drove back together. Jerry and Esther followed Tracy in her beautiful little red car. And Esther is certain those wheels did not touch the ground. You have never seen a happier girl. Not happy because she had the car. Happy because she created the car on her own terms. Happy because she is the creator of her own experience, and nothing is more delicious than self-creation. In other words, happy because she lined up with who she really is, because she found her own power, because she didn't distort her view of herself by believing that her power belonged to someone else. In other words, she found her power because she had a desire. Now, Jerry was wise enough to feel the power of her desire. It helped her out in a lot of other ways. But he had never felt such focused power within her. He knew she could do this, and he knew the triumph she would feel when she did, you see. Mm-hmm. And that's what you want to convey to anyone who is asking you for help. You want to convey to them your belief in their ability to succeed. That's what a true teacher is. In other words, that's the thing that you want to convey, but you can't convey it until you feel it. You have to practice your expectation of the success of others before you can convey it. And when you've practiced your expectation of their success, now you are the teacher that you were born to be, you see. You didn't come to teach with your hand out. You came to teach with your connection to source and your positive expectation of their success.